Hello, greetings, everybody. My name is James. I am from the internet, and today we are going to be talking about income inequality. Now, I know that I have garnered somewhat of a reputation for coming on here and speaking in a very bad and negative manner towards the wealthy and powerful in this country. I often discuss the plight of the working class, how little of the pie they get versus how much wealth is extracted through their labor and systems that they are forced to operate within. And so I continuously get a barrage of hate mail and people asking, hey, James, when are you going to talk about those people, huh? When are you going to talk about how bad the wealthy have it in tumultuous times like this? When are you gonna discuss how if wealthy people just stop being wealthy, how the world will end? I mean, I get a lot of weird requests. However, I listen to them, and so for one day only, I'm gonna give y'all, that small minority of folk within my community who seem to really want to stand for the wealthy, I am going to give you what you want. And today, I am going to discuss the plight of the average American C-level executive. Hold on, people. This one's a real tearjerker. Here we go. CEOs made 299 times more than their average workers last year. Okay, hold up. I know this looks bad. However, we haven't gotten into the article yet, okay? There's a lot of nuance here. You know, this is the other thing I get a lot of criticism for is, taking a headline and running with it and not really getting down into the details. So I'm just merely bandying about popular tropes and creating negativity. So we're going to dig into this one. I want to show you it's not all rosy for all these CEOs, okay? The difference between CEO and median employee pay grew in 2020 despite the COVID pandemic and ongoing relief efforts. The average S&P 500 company CEO made 299 times the average worker's salary last year, according to the AFL-CIO's annual Executive Pay Watch report. Okay, hold up. Remember, the devil is in the details, and, this is only a number that pertains specifically to CEOs of S&P 500 companies. There's a lot of companies out there, only a small number of them are S&P 500 companies. So, see, this is just a selective number pulled out to create outrage in a title, right? Executives received $15.5 million in total compensation on average, marking an increase of more than $260,000 per year over the past decade. At the same time, the average production and non-supervisory worker in 2020 earned $43,512, which was up $957 a year over the past decade. See, look at that. People always complaining that wages are stagnant, and yet this obviously says that at these very successful corporations where CEOs are obviously paid well, because they're successful, look, the average wage is gone up $957 a year for the past decade. See, we have to focus on this. Look, this is what the CEOs are doing. The CEOs are making sure that these workers' salaries go up. And for that, they get an annual raise of approximately $250,000 a year per year, every year. Both average compensation and pay ratios grew in 2020 during the pandemic. Executives' average total compensation increased more than $700,000 last year. Hey, listen, last year was a struggle, okay? These people, they couldn't have their driver come to their house to pick them up, to drive them to the office, where they have their assistant, get them their coffee. No. All of those luxuries are gone. These people were forced to work from their extremely large homes. I mean, that had to be very isolating for them, Think about that. That's the real struggle here. Whoa. This is consistent with what we've been seeing year to year, said Liz Schuler, the AFL-CIO Secretary-Treasurer. Inequality, the imbalance in our economy, is clear by this report that the pay of CEOs and working people continues to be a major problem in this country. Now again, selective outrage here, okay? Liz does work for the AFL-CIO, which means that's like a special interest group, okay? She has special interest in workers. The highest compensated CEO in 2020 was Chad Richison of Paycom, who received more than $200 million in salary and stock awards that vest over time. Chad Richison. Okay, listen. Okay, hold on. Ooh. Other companies with executives topping the list of highest paid CEOs include General Electric, Regeneron Pharmaceuticals, Hilton, T-Mobile, Nike, Microsoft, and Netflix. Now, hey, remember when I told you the plight of the CEOs? Think about this, okay? This fine fellow, Chad and the CEOs of this, half a dozen other companies, these are the highest paid CEOs. So think about this. For every one of the highest paid CEOs, that means there is a lowest paid CEO. Did you ever think about them, huh? Could you imagine being the CEO with one of the lowest CEO salaries? All the other CEOs and executives be like, meh. Could you imagine that kind of derision, that kind of public shame? So maybe, just maybe, on this one, y'all take a second and think of all the CEOs who are on the bottom of this CEO pile trying to climb their way up, okay? Think about them. Companies in the consumer discretionary industry, including retailers like Amazon, had the highest disparity with an average 741 to 1 CEO to worker ratio. Quote, the only reason we're reaching the other side of the COVID-19 pandemic is because working people stepped up. We hear so many business leaders calling these workers essential and calling them heroes, but words are not enough. We have always been essential, doing the critical work to make this country hum. Hey, now to be fair, previously we read that the median worker's salary increased $957 a year. So let's not say the CEOs did nothing, okay? Because $957 a year, and they did that for you. Maybe show a little gratitude. At the start of the coronavirus pandemic last year, many CEOs and top executives announced they would be taking a pay cut or even foregoing their salaries altogether. Aha! Look at that. Benevolence. Freely. Nobody had to put pressure on them. Nobody had to vote for it or, try having a strike or something. No. These benevolent CEOs, the ones who are getting average workers almost $1,000 a year more in salary year over year, well, look, they took a pay cut. They even said, I won't take a salary this year. That's benevolence. At big corporations, the move to give up some pay wasn't enough to engender drastic improvements for lower paid employees or make up for pandemic. Okay, yeah, we can skip the rest of this one and go to the next one. Despite a slight decrease in CEO base pay, CEOs enjoyed increases in their equity compensation, especially in stock-based pay, which increased over $1 million last year. Hey, CEOs are the ones who make those stocks go up, so they should be entitled to some of them, okay? Let's be real here. For example, while the average CEO salary at S&P 500 companies was a little more than $1 million, and again, most of them gave up that $1 million or part of it because they're benevolent, performance-based compensation accounted for an additional $14 million, bringing the average total compensation to more than $15 million last year. But hey, those are stocks, and technically stocks aren't money. So actually, they're not even paying tax on those stock options. See, that's just smart thinking. See, that's the kind of smart thinking that makes you a CEO. On average, CEOs of S&P 500 companies saw their total compensation grow 5% in 2020. Only 5%. 5%. Do you know how small that is? Come on. They probably could have given themselves bigger raises, but they chose not to. America is grappling with record-breaking inflation. The Consumer Price Index, a key inflation measure, grew 0.9% in June, the largest one-month increase in 13 years. Over the past year, prices were up 5.4%, the biggest jump in annual inflation in nearly 13 years. The trend is squeezing consumers as they struggle to keep up with rising prices, especially gas and food prices. Hey, hold on. All of those food and gas companies have CEOs, and those CEOs are making record profits so that they can pay their employees $957 a year more. Okay? Where do you think that $957 comes from? And like job growth and inflation, the stock market is hitting record-breaking highs too. Wall Street's biggest banks are reporting earnings in the billions, and a slew of high-profile companies have already made their public debut this year. See, look at that. All that capital floating around means even more companies starting up, and all those companies are going to have CEOs. And if you pay those CEOs $30 million a year, well then, they're going to get literally dozen of workers to come in and hopefully make $957 a year more than they were last year at their previous job, because that is what CEOs do. So hopefully today, all of you people out there learned some very important things. Not all CEOs are on the top. Many of them are vastly underpaid compared to the other 490 wealthy white executives that they're paired up against, and that's got to be really tough for them. Also, we've learned that they have managed to increase employee salaries every single year, and they don't get enough credit for that. So hopefully, all of you at home now have a little more context and can think about how benevolent these CEOs are. So the next time you see a story that comes out and says something cockamamie like the average CEO compensation went up 300% last year, you could turn around and go, workers, they made $957 more. Thanks, CEOs. Until next time, my name is James. I am from the internet, and I am out. Peace.